super excited to be talking to you guys today about something that, one, I'm very passionate about, not only because I see it as a strategic opportunity, but a necessity as we think about the evolving future of work, and that is upskilling in the age of automation. So to start things off, I want to introduce myself. My name is Demetrius. I'm a graduate of Howard University, currently an MBA candidate at North Carolina A&T, and as of most recent, the newest addition to the core investment team at Reach Capital. During my time as a Chicago Blend Fellow, I've been developing a thesis on stimulating economic mobility by investing across financial technology, education, healthcare, and future work. So before I dive too deep, I want to give everyone an introduction to what upskilling truly is. And it all starts with the rise and the implementation and adoption of technology in the workforce. So more specifically, AI and machine learning, which are pretty popular topics right now, are causing disruption in terms of changing workflows. On a good note, they're boosting productivity, but what's really coming out of that is that firms need to adapt to now leverage these workflows properly, and who's really experiencing the pressure is the employees themselves. That they're the ones who need to adopt new skill sets now that AI is something that's, a player in the space. How do I maintain job market relevance? So that is kind of the large buildup that contextualizes upskilling. So I want to give a quick definition for those who may not have heard the term. It is the acquiring of knowledge, the developing of practical abilities, and building essential expertise. So as investors, I want to talk about, the most enticing thing about this, the very large market. In 2022, the total U.S. training expenditures was $101 billion, with only 8% of that going to external products, which means there's a lot of opportunity for tech enablement in this space. 79% of companies either increase or maintain their budgets, which means the market is not only large, but it's growing significantly. As you can see, there's another stat towards the bottom here, 38% with the growth in the global market over the next 4 years. So now that we kind of have an introduction, understand kind of the market size, I want to talk about some of the catalysts that are really driving this forward. The first one is labor market conditions. As of right now, we're operating in an overemployed labor market, which means sourcing and hiring talent is more costly and more difficult to do ever than so before. What this means that for the firms, looking internally has become more enticing. However, for the employees, it's still problematic because there's a slow pace of upward mobility internally within firms. So as an employee, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, which means I'm going to go back to the labor market, which has had negative implications. As you can see, the average tenure for an employee under 35 has been less than 3 years. The second catalyst that's really driving this forward is the shifts in employee preferences, right? It's not just the market, but it's the person working next to you right now. They're feeling the pressures of this, and as a consequence, 59% of workers are considering learning and growth opportunities in the roles that they're taking on. Additionally, 74% have expressed readiness to learn a new skill, which brings us to the third point, and the most important, the technology itself. The generative AI impact on workflow optimization has now led to 2/3 of occupations being exposed to some degree of automation. And 44% of workers are projected to have their skills disrupted within the next 5 years. Next, I want to talk about picking winners in this space. So the idea of training and development is not new. There's a lot of players who are claiming to be successful. However, the things that are really going to differentiate just another startup from a unicorn are these 5 things. First being the creation, I would say, of intermediary positions. As of right now, the discrete promotion model doesn't really entice employees to stay, nor is it giving them an opportunity to grow. So by creating intermediary positions, you're now incentivizing them to strive for the next goal, as well as compensating them effectively. The next thing would be intentional collaboration. A lot of the players in the space today either focus on peer to employee, they focus on expert to employee, and very few, I would say, focus on industry to employee. The winners in this space are going to have all 3. That's how you truly optimize the value chain within the upskilling space. Next would be the emphasis for vertical solutions. A lot of the incumbents are general soft skills or content aggregators that people will just basically come on and share ideas and tell you how to be a great leader, but they're not really giving you the hard skills on how to dominate an industry. How do I become better? Vertical solutions are going to go industry by industry, training and upskilling employees to be more competitive in their space. Next, thought leadership. As more and more small, repetitive tasks become automated, thought leadership is going to become even more valuable across all industries and all teams. And last, and most importantly, I would say, is the need for skill-based development. A fact that I came across during my research is that 20% of all US jobs do not require a 4-year degree. 2 years ago, this was 15%. And the shift is changing because recruitment teams are realizing that we're not hiring you based on your pedigree, we're hiring you based on the skills that you can perform. As of right now, that is a huge, huge catalyst paired with technology that makes an urgency surrounding upskilling. So for those who are now interested, I want to also inform you all on some of the risks that exist in this space. The first being employee churn risks. Employees are scared that I'm going to invest so much time and effort into an employee, and they still might leave anyways. But there are different measures that startups are taking and implementing to help mitigate some of that risk in terms of agreements, some of the things I mentioned before in terms of compensation models, as well as continuous advancement opportunities. The next would be the time and work hours that it actually takes to provide this training. I think in the past this was a much bigger risk than it is today. As you can see at the bottom, 44% of businesses now offer staggered or flexible work schedules. And 1/3 of people are now working remotely full time, or at least have the option to. So in terms of it not really fitting into the time and work, isn't as strong as an argument as it once was. And lastly, in terms of the major selling point within this space, is going to be the ROI evaluation. How are these companies showing employees that, hey, we're actually producing based off the investment you gave us? That's going to be demonstrated through performance KPIs, that's going to be demonstrated through HR cost savings, as well as the career progressions of your team internally. So as I begin to close things off here, I want to also highlight some industries that are primed for upskilling today. This is based on the level of adoption that's currently taking place, as well as the volume of new emerging startups who are leveraging AI technology. Some of which you've been able to hear today in terms of digital health, gaming and K-12 education, autonomous finance solutions, marketing and sales with content creation being automated, and then the closing of POS in retail and commerce. So I know that was just a very high level introduction to the upskilling space, but if you're interested in learning more, I'd love to connect, either if you're thinking strategically as an investor, or maybe you just came to the realization like, hey, I'm an employee, what does this mean for me? We'd love to connect further. Again, my name is Demetrius, and thank you all for listening to my Blend Talk.